Hi, welcome to this latest video, and we're back having a look at Driveclub. So this is a follow-up to a video I put out a short while ago around the fact that on PS4 Driveclub actually has the largest number of players of any racing title on there. 10.5 million for the core game and 500,000 for DCVR, which is technically a standalone title. Bikes doesn't come into that, so there was no details for bikes on there, but that's 11 million. To put that into context, the same information shows that Gran Turismo Sport has around about 6.6 million players, so that's versus 11 odd million, 10.5 million on Driveclub, so it's quite a significant difference. And one of the things I said on that video was that I wanted to have a bit of a more deep look at Driveclub, and the idea for this actually came from a member over at GT Planet who dropped me a message, a guy called Doblo Cruiser. I hope I pronounced that correct, apologies if I didn't. Just really pointing out something that I've mentioned before, and it reminded me of it, and that's the fact that the Driveclub is a great title, full stop. It looks great, it's got amazing weather effects, the PSVR implementation on it is good and solid, but the main thing that Double Cruiser pointed out that reminded me was the fact it's actually got quite a decent little handling model and a reasonably deep physics model hidden away underneath it. Now, just on the arcade side of things, because there are actually two driving models in Driveclub, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, which is quite important to point out. So as standard, when you just fire it up and play it, you're in the normal arcade mode, and it behaves as a well-sorted, well-balanced arcade title. You know, braking distances are far shorter than they should have been, handling's very forgiving, you don't really have to deal with too much torque steer, counter steer is easy to apply, it's easy to catch slides, you know, all the things you would expect from a arcade driving model, and it works well. But you can, particularly with a wheel, feel that there's a bit more going underneath the skin. And what the developers Evolution did, may they rest in peace, thank you Sony, what the developers did was they patched in, probably I think about 6 months to a year after launch, it was some point during that stupidly generous and long period of support the title got post its messed up launch, is they added in a hardcore handling mode, and this is just hidden away under the gameplay settings. You can go into settings, gameplay, and hardcore mode is in there, and you flick it on, and when you then go back in and drive, it totally changes Driveclub. What you've now got is much more realistic braking distances. You don't really have to control the cars under braking that much, you know, it doesn't have that depth of handling to it. We're not talking a sim here, but we are talking very firmly now in that often derided midland between a sim and an arcade title. Call it what you will, I'm not going to use that word, but that's what you effectively get. So, you know, braking distances do increase, you've got to think more about the position of the car, understeer does now come into play in quite a big way, so you've got to think about corner entry speed and your line much more as a result. Torque steer becomes much more obvious and present, and interestingly, things like things that are missing still from the physics model or not well modelled in the physics model of Gran Turismo Sport now become quite prevalent when you're playing what is ostensibly an arcade title. So two examples of this: lift off oversteer in front wheel drive cars and torque steer, particularly off the line in front wheel drive cars, is now something you have to deal with in hardcore handling mode. You've got that better control and more depth of control over the oversteer model. Countersteer isn't assisted quite as much, and it really does change the title. And one of the things I really like about the hardcore mode, although you're unlikely to be particularly competitive in it compared to people who are using the standard arcade mode, is the simple fact that you've got much more variation and much more difference in the car models. Once you switch this on, you can actually start to feel a bit more difference between them. So if you've never done it and you do still have Driveclub, or you can pick Driveclub up cheaply, which I strongly recommend everybody does, and buy the season pass, you get a bucket load of content if you can pick it up on a PSN sale or cheap second hand somewhere. It's a great title. Everyone with a PS4 should own it if they like racing titles, in my view. But give it a go, particularly if you've got a wheel set up. Whack on that hardcore handling mode and give it a go and see what a difference it does make, because it really does make a difference. So yeah, all of the footage you're seeing here is from Driveclub, both pancake mode and PSVR mode. Range of vehicles are looked at here, range of locations are looked at here in the footage, and after I've stopped wibbling on, I'll leave a few more minutes worth of footage just so people can have a look at that. But all of this is with the hardcore handling mode enabled, because to my mind, yep, the arcade model is good, but that hardcore handling mode just tweaks it up a bit and really does make a big difference, and the end result is a surprising amount of depth for what is an arcade racing title. So just to close this out, I just want to reiterate, I am not, so please don't bother with this in the comments, I am not saying that Driveclub is a sim. It's not. What I'm saying is there's more depth than you would expect in the handling model beneath it, and that if you switch the hardcore handling mode on, it opens up that depth, and it does some quite surprising things for what is, on the face of it, an arcade title, and adds more variety and differentiation between the cars once you've got it switched on, and it's well worth trying. It really is a shame that Sony closed down Evo as a studio and pulled the plug on Driveclub, because, as I say, quite frankly, daft number of people played it. When it was re-reviewed after its disastrous launch, the re-reviews were almost always overwhelmingly positive. We're talking going from 60, 70% scores up to 85, 90, 95% scores for this when it was re-reviewed. So it made a huge difference, and it really is a shame that we never got to see a Driveclub 2. It's really a shame that when Evolution and most of their staff went over to Codemasters wasted their time with Onrush, which just was, in my view, it's entertaining, but it was never going to work. It is, however, good to see that the former head of Evolution, Paul, I can't pronounce his surname, Paul R, is now over with Slightly Mad Studios, and hopefully they will put the drive and talent that he has, and hopefully they've got some of his former team as well, that they put into Driveclub and turn something out that actually is a worthy successor to Driveclub, or better still, let them loose on a sim. Give them that, because I honestly think the end result could be absolutely cracking from them. So yeah, that's just me really wanting to revisit a 4-year-old title to wax lyrically about it. It is one of my, I'm not even going to call it a guilty pleasure, it is a pleasure of mine playing Driveclub. I love it. I think it looks stunning. I think it plays really well. I think the environmental design in it, particularly the rain, has never been beaten on the PS4. And one closing thought on this, keep in mind that all of the graphics you're looking at here have not had a PS4 Pro enhancement patch released for them. This is running on a PS4 Pro just with the automatic enhancement turned on. There was never any specific patch released to take advantage of PS4 Pro's uplift that a lot of other titles got or get as standard now. It never got it, and it still looks stunning, and that rain still looks stunning as a result. So yeah, it really is a great title, and one I just wanted to revisit and share the love of for many reasons, but mainly that hardcore handling mode. So if you've enjoyed this, please do hit the like button. If you've got any comments to leave down below, please do drop them in there, and if you want to see more like this, please do subscribe away. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.